welcome back to another show. Today I'm going to do another What the Hell Is This? This is about Jonah Hex, the movie, the experience, the disaster. Oh yeah, I'd never seen Jonah Hex. It's one of those films that was notoriously bad that I always managed to avoid, because at a certain point you think, oh, what's the point of watching this? And then you start doing videos like this and you think, I should watch this could be funny for a video. And you watch it and it's like, thank God it was only 70 minutes long. I mean, it's 80 minutes in the official runtime, but this was very made appear there's a lot of special effects in it, so it was really like 70 minutes. We take all the credit sequences out. And oh my God, what a disaster. This is a film that was written by one set of directors. They left because they didn't agree with what the studio wanted to do with it. Then they basically needed another set of directors, or the film wasn't going to get made. They had someone who'd done an animated film, but who wasn't ready for a feature film, and he wasn't really that interested in it anyway, but it was a job, a chance to work in a feature film. According to a lot of reports, he was not well prepared for this. There was basically the next thing people said he was inexperienced. There was other allegations going on, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't know if they were true or not. I'm just saying there were allegations. Then it was reshot a lot. Like apparently, I've heard one thing that had to reshoot like 60 pages in 12 days or something, which I'm assuming must have been dialogue scenes, because that can't have been action. There's no way you can do that in actions. There must have been a lot of reshooting certain motivations and things. And eventually the film was released and was a complete mess. And everyone hated it, and it was like, it died a death, a quick instant death, and lost a lot of money, and everyone was like, never speak of this again. And few people have since. It's like, Jonah Hex has turned up on Legends of Tomorrow a few times under a different actor, but he was played by Josh Brolin, the son, and this was just after he'd done No Country for Old Men, or in that period where he was coming back as being a leading man, and this is his big chance to basically lead a film. And this was viewed as, oh, that's a major damage to him, his potential. But it turns out he was fine after this. He went and made other films. He was leading man sometimes not. But this didn't do a bit of difference, ultimately, because directors liked him, and he was already in other films when about then that were good, so it didn't really matter. It was like a case of, yeah, he was in a bad film, not his fault. And the thing is, in this film, he's good. He's a saving grace. Him and Michael Fassbender as the villain are the saving graces of this film. And actually, all the actors are trying their best. It's like a sense of, there's nobody you can criticise in this film of the actors for anything really. Obviously they were in a bad situation with a script that needed rewritten, and they were reshooting stuff, and the various directors. It's like John Malkovich is the villain as well, and everybody was trying to be professional. You could sense that they were all being professional. Megan Fox is a leading lady in it, and she's a prostitute character, and she's fine in it as well. She get the Razzies nominations, and it was like, what? She's no Judi Dench or anything, but she did fine for what she was given, And it was like, well, that's just been cruel by the critics, because it was like, if you're in a bad film, if you're doing your best, you're doing your best. So a lot of actors, Lance Reddick's in it as well. A lot of actors are in it, and and yet feeling half the scenes have been cut out, and most of the motivations have been cut out, but they're still doing fine for what they've given. But it's just the story. It's terrible, and it's 80 minutes, and it feels like it should be like a TV episode of 45 minutes, because that's all the story they've got, unless there was more story stuff that was taken out that would have made a longer running time more appropriate. Because this was originally Neville and Taylor, who did the Crank films, are going to do Ghost Rider 2 and a bunch of other stuff. And you can see this maybe working if they directed it, if they went a bit more crazy with the visuals, and if they were doing a kind of weird punk rock version of a western, because it needed that kind of energy. Instead it was Wild Wild West Part 2, which is another steampunk film made by Warner Brothers that cost a lot of money and failed because they had basically a threat going on in the film that everyone knew wasn't going to work, because we're here and there was no revolution. So it's a big problem of just setting a threat in a historical period when you know there was nothing ever actually happened, so there's no way that this villainous plan is going to work. That's a big problem with these kind of films. It's much better to make it personal between your characters and have that be the drama, so there's some kind of suspension of disbelief possible. Here it's like they're going to destroy Washington with these like new weapons that are highly explosive, and it's like, I don't care. Never happened. Don't care. So that's a big problem. So much of the film is taking place dealing with a plot that didn't happen. Everyone knows it doesn't happen. So there's no suspense whatsoever. But also to get there, you go through all these mechanics that don't mean a damn, and a lot of the stuff's been rewritten and reshot, so you don't really know why you're watching half the scenes. Because it's just like a mess. It's a total mess. Now, there's also the problem, the fact it was reshot by a different director. Because the original director, there's lots of scenes that are shot in a really weak way that they just basically feel like the director of photography set the shots up, and he wasn't getting given much leeway by the director to, or give any direction with the director what he wanted. It just feels like very vaguely shot sequences without much pace to them. And then there's other bits in the film where Francis Lawrence, who directed Constantine and I Am Legend and some of the Hunger Games films, he was brought in to do this, to reshoot a lot of it. Basically as a favour, please help us in this disaster. And the thing is, even if you don't like some of the material he chooses, he's actually a decent director who has an eye for composition, who understands how shots should be composed to get effects. So there's every so often there's something nice happening, and he's like, where did that come from? Yeah, it came from another director. Because there's a nice sequence where it makes no sense, where basically the kids on a train seeing a train getting raided and shit, and he sees them coming from outside. They start this kid watching from outside, and it's a really well done scene. It's a tribute to the kind of Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns, and it's like, that's great. Where did that come from? And there's bits like that throughout the film, like little bits and bobs of like tastefully done moments, and it's like, well, that's obviously a reshoot. And it's just weird, and then suddenly you're into the original shoot, which is just very vague and just weirdly shot, and it's that thing where things are happening but there's not much going on, like in the narrative drive to actually keep you interested. And that's an 80-minute film, but you're constantly getting bored by it. There's other bits that don't make sense, where you see Jonah Hex go to buy some guns from a gun maker, people like Lance Reddick, who's in like 2 scenes, and you think, well, there's quite a lot, because he's basically the Q version of Q in this time period, but suddenly he's only in 2 scenes, and you're thinking, there's obviously more there that was cut out. There's no way you get him for that kind of character. And, you know, he gives them the guns. The guns do these great things. They run into bullets and throws the guns away. And you're like, why don't you just put them back in your holsters and use other guns? Because this is obviously expensive, complicated machinery you can use again if you get reloads. And the film is full of that kind of stuff. It's like, why do you do it? Because. Why? Because. The other good thing is Michael Fassbender as a villain. He's basically played him as a version of the Riddler. He's even got a green coat, a little waistcoat thing on, and he's got a hat to makes him look very Riddlerish, and he's having a lot of fun playing this sadistic weirdo. And he just jumps out as someone who's... This was him before he became well known. Really, this was when he was just kind of becoming... Oh, it's that guy type of thing. That's where he was in his career at that point. It's before he was becoming a lead man yet. And he's a lot of fun. Anytime him and Brolin are on screen, the film has helped a lot. John Malkovich is fine. He's collecting a paycheck, but he's very professional. Wes Bentley shows up for a scene or two as well. As a corrupt politician, he's fine too. There's all these moments where, okay, this should be really cooking, and it's not because the direction's so flabby and they're shooting in such a boring way that you're just like, oh, come on, get to the point. And then you get to some action scenes where it's like, things are getting blown up. Like, anytime they've got a set in this film, they blow it up. They don't, like, just use it. Sometimes they just blow it up, and it's like, you were basically there for 2 minutes, why'd you build a set then blow it up? Like, why do you even have this scene? You don't need this scene. There's lots of stuff like that where they build massive sets, all for a gag where they kill a person that doesn't really mean anything to the plot, and they blow it up, and it's like, why do you need that? They blow up a train for very little reason. There's just, oh, they're trying to steal something, the villains are trying to steal something, and it's like, they could have done it in a simpler and cheaper way, and it would have just been as effective. And there's just whole sequences like this where they blow a lot of stuff up, and it's like, why'd you do that? We need to keep people awake, because this director's awful. I think that's the real motivation here. It's just one of those things where you just start losing the will to live in a lot of scenes just because of how dully shot it is, and how there's just so much obviously missing that by the time we get to the first act's the first 20 minutes of the film, when it should be like a half hour. By the time we get to the half hour phase of 40 minutes, you're almost through the second act of the film. You know, this is when you should be gearing up to get into the second act of the film, and they're already going towards the end of the second act. Then you have the lots of explosions for the third act and the people getting killed and stuff. And by about an hour and 5 minutes in, the film is over. You have another 5 minutes of padding to get you to the credit sequence. So yes, basically an hour in, the film is almost over. So you've lost a good 10-15 minutes of every bit of the film, and you can feel it because it just is just very kind of weird and unfocused in scenes, and it's just that feeling of, what have I missed? I've seemed to have missed a lot. If anything's in the film is just to get you from A to B to C to D straight away and just get to the end of this bloody film, that's all they're keeping in. So God knows how bad the rest of it was if they're just doing that and trying to rush through the film. But it was like, it's one of those things where apparently the studio was in the editing room trying to find anything to fix it, because it was just so badly done, and it was like, there was no real fix in it. It was just like, try and get it in and out of the theaters as quickly as possible and hope to make some money off it. Yeah, this is a disaster. Just a hellishly bad film. I recommend it only to masochists. It's one of those films, Josh Brolin always brings it up as a terrible film, and all the other actors in it also do that, or most of them. And it's like, you see the film, you think, yep, I know why. Yep, that must have been a hellish film to be on. Now, there's whole sequences that must have taken weeks to shoot, and all for no point. And I bet it was very uncomfortable and cold for the actors, and they're probably thinking, why is it worth it for this garbage? So anyway, that's Jonah Hex. Watch at your peril. That's me for now. Bye.